Now, before I go into coloring the shoe, I want to take a moment to talk about what I have to do to prepare for live paint to make it work efficiently. What I have is several circles and they're overlapping each other. So the problem with live paint is that it will see and detect the overlap. So if I convert this into live paint, press letter K for the paint bucket, you will see it now sees each part as a different shape. So I do not want that to happen. So before I make it a live paint object, I need to go to Pathfinder and select down here the trim button. It will remove any of the shapes below each other where they overlap, but it also removes your stroke. So if you need to see your stroke and see the border of the shapes, remember to add a black stroke. Once again, go to live paint, make. Your paint bucket now sees just one shape. So now you can color without overlapping and having extra shapes. Once you're done, go to live paint one more time, press expand. That will make it vector shapes that you can modify. Right click, ungroup, and what happens is your color ungroup twice, you will have your shapes, ungroup again, add a black stroke, and now you will have finished shapes of whatever you have made. And the lines here, they are now separate shapes as well. Only thing is you will have an open object, so the color jumps straight across, which is not good for coloring because you can have, as you can see here, gaps. So you can leave the two parts as one, or you can separate and begin with a new shape. But for the tracing, it's just easier to leave the black stroke and the fill as is. Because once you have your sketch finalized, you're happy with it, you don't have to worry about changing it. Unless you start with a brand new and making a new shoe or illustration. Hello and welcome back. I showed a video earlier on my YouTube channel and it was talking about image trace and tracing a sketch image or a scan object that you may have drawn by hand or have picked up from another website or online. So what I'm going to show next is working with images that are drawn already, but the ease of making it quicker to color and also change parts of it without having to rebuild it. So I'm going to take this image of this sneaker. It's already a vector-based format, and the site had it as multiple layers inside this image. So some objects are overlapping. So I need to clean it up. This image has several shapes. One is a black outline shape that I'm going to keep for later. I'll just move that off. And I have a floating shape right here. So I'm just going to delete that. I could keep it, but for what I'm going to do, I'm going to rebuild it once I do live paint. I have to ungroup it again. The shoestrings, I need to move out of the way. And then I need to move my my stitching from my drawing. So these have to be moved out the way because they will intersect with my painting and cause double fill lines. So to not have that and avoid that, it's better to put the stitching on last or just remove it and then put it back once you're done. Now that I have the stitching removed, other parts I'm going to ungroup are open lines, meaning that a line that is just a single line that doesn't close itself. So I'm going to move these out the way after I have set up my trim. And before trimming, I can go in here and decide, do I want to have the heel of the shoe 2 parts or 1 part? If I want to, I will modify this. Overlap these 2 parts. Select them, go to Pathfinder and say Unite. And if I see another part of a shape, I may want to do the same as well. So these 2 parts here, I may want to do a overlap as well and then join those. So it's up to you what you want to join together. Could be these 2 parts. So once I have that modified to what I want, I'm going to select the shoe and I'm going to choose Trim to remove all these hidden parts where they overlap. And like I said before, the shoe outline disappears and you just add the stroke back on to your shoe. Now I am ready to make it a live paint. So first step, select the shoe and make sure to trim. You lose the outline, add that back in, and you can move your line work back into place. In the front. Place it back to where it was. Now you're ready to do live paint. Select the object, you're going to fill with color. Go to Object, to Live Paint, and Make. Press K for the paint bucket. Pick a color and start filling in the shapes. You can press the arrow key and going around. Let's say you want to add an extra fill to the tongue. You can start with a line across where you want. Go back, select it, go back to Live Paint, and Make. Go to the paint bucket, letter K, press the option to pick up a color, and you can fill in. So you'll have your shapes filled in. Now that you have your colors filled in, you can do an extra little feature to your drawing. And let's go to File, Place, and I'm going to get a texture. Of a leather texture. And what I'm going to do is overlap this to give a texture of leather to the shoe. So going to Transparency, I'm going to switch it to Multiply, and you will see the texture, and I'm going to lower the opacity down so it's not so dark to probably 50% or maybe 35%. And you'll have a texture on your shoe. So to make this work with your drawing, you're going to take this as is, drag it to your swatches, and place it inside your swatches. So I'm going to do normal, 100%, and do the same thing. I have two versions in here, and I'm going to show you what to do with those. So after you have made your live paint, go to Live Paint, expand, because you got to expand it to see the vector shapes again. And I can ungroup it, but I'm going to just use the white arrow for quick selection of one of the shapes. I'm going to open up my appearance window. It says Fill and Stroke. I'm going to click down here at the bottom of the toolbar, Add New Fill. So I have fill of red and a fill of red at the bottom. So I'm going to click on the arrow, get that swatch of leather texture and apply it on top as a fill of leather. So the next one, I'm going to do the same thing, make a new fill, and I'm going to pick the other leather. So this one here is not doing transparency or multiply. So I'm going to click on this side arrow, drop it down, opacity, then I can say multiply, and I'm going to lower the transparency down. So if I went to the yellow, say for example, multiply, it makes it look dirty and too gray. So lower the transparency down so you get a texture but letting the yellow keep its brightness. So there's more to come next, but that is a start of way of tracing an image, coloring an image quickly, and also using appearance to add texture and detail to your image without having to make another shape over another. And you won't have these random shapes stacking on top. So that is a little bit of Pathfinder Trim, the live paint bucket, and coloring and layering texture. Thank you for